Hey, Brian Young here. Thanks for joining me. Today's video is on managing customer feedback. So after you've been selling on Amazon for a while, you'll notice that your customers, whether they're really happy or really disappointed in the purchase they made from you, will be able to express themselves by leaving you customer feedback. And so in this video, we're going to talk about what exactly is customer feedback, and I'm going to give you some tips and tricks on how you can manage it. Now, according to Amazon, there is actually a lot of weight that's applied on your customer feedback score. And what I mean by that is that from the website, from Amazon.com, it says customers often review feedback ratings when determining whether to make purchases from a seller. So what that means, your reputation is your Amazon seller rating. And for some buyers, they're going to choose one seller over another based on how good their feedback score is overall. Now, I know people like this myself that are willing to spend $1, $2, $3, $4, maybe even $5 more to buy from a seller that has excellent feedback, as opposed to maybe saving a few bucks and buy one from someone who has feedback that's a little less desirable. And I know I'm guilty of this too, maybe not to that extreme, but if the difference is maybe $1 or less, and I have the option of buying from a mega seller with 99% positive feedback and an overall score of maybe 10,000 ratings over the last 365 days, versus somebody who's either just launched or maybe has 1,000 reviews and is hovering around the low 90s, I would pay an extra buck to buy from the one that has a little more credibility as depicted in their seller ranking. And the reasoning why is that I just want to make sure the product that I'm ordering is what I get and I'm satisfied with it. And sometimes I feel like I'll be more likely to be satisfied with somebody who looks like they're more professional than I would be with somebody who looks like maybe they're just doing some Amazon selling as a hobby. So I don't know if that resonates with you or not. Amazon also says that the feedback rating also affects your sales from a metric standpoint. So depending on where your feedback score is, could determine whether or not your item is in the buy box, whether or not your particular book is visible to the maximum amount of people. And so if you have poor ratings, what Amazon is alluding to or suggesting is that your item is not going to be, all your items are not going to be as visible as they could be if your feedback score was good. So what is customer feedback? And like I said, after the Amazon customer purchases a product from you, Amazon will send them an automatic email asking them to review the product and also leave feedback on the purchase. And that gives the customer an opportunity to voice their opinion and their views, their dissatisfaction or their satisfaction in the overall purchasing experience. Buyers have 90 days to leave feedback, and they have 60 days to remove feedback. So if they've left feedback on your account, and you'll have 60 days to kindly ask them to remove it. So you may be wondering, what do I do to get positive feedback? I really want to come at this from a positive standpoint, because I really feel like if you're willing to go above and beyond, if you're willing to put in the time and effort, you're not going to have to struggle with negative feedback. It's better to play offense than it is to play defense. And so some of the ways you can play offense is to underpromise and overdeliver. And so we do this in some of the books that we condition. We'll adjust the conditioning if it's kind of on the edge to overdeliver. We'd rather a customer get a book that is kind of borderline good. We'd rather them get that expecting an unacceptable book and be pleased that the condition is better than they expected, than vice versa. I mean, we know that a lot of Amazon customers, they aren't familiar with Amazon's terms and conditions. I mean, a lot of sellers aren't familiar with Amazon's condition guidelines. So it comes to no surprise that there are going to be customers out there that buy a book that is in quote unquote good condition, and they expect it to be in like new condition or new condition, when in actuality it is in good condition. So I think if you're ever going to err, if you're ever going to choose a side, it's better to err on the side of caution. Utilizing FBA is an excellent way to get positive feedback. I think 90% of the feedback that people get comes from the fulfillment of the item. So the item didn't arrive on time, or was damaged in transit, or vice versa. So utilizing fulfillment by Amazon really helps, because Amazon handles all the logistics, and we'll get into that. We'll get into removing feedback in a minute. But if a customer leaves you negative feedback and it's fulfillment related, and you did FBA, it'll get taken care of. Another way to make sure that your feedback is positive is just to condition your books accurately. Make sure that you understand the condition guidelines, and you're listing books in like new, and used very good, and used good, and used acceptable according to the condition guidelines. That's really going to help you get ahead. If your books are kind of questionable, or if you have something interesting to put in, or if there's a major blemish, you can take advantage of the condition notes section. I mean, this is going to be helpful, and customers do look there. So using that to kind of just educate customers on the quality of book they're going to get is helpful. And then finally, if there is problems, take care of them quickly and proactively. A lot of times customers will communicate with me before they leave any feedback at all. If there's an issue, they'll just send me a message through Amazon Seller Central. And that's my opportunity to smooth over the rough edges, to pull out some amazing customer service and make sure the customer is happy in the end. So the question is, what do you do if you get negative feedback? Now, the first thing you should be asking yourself is, does this feedback violate Amazon's terms and condition? Because if it does, then instead of even having to contact the customer and grovel and do lots of customer service, you could just send a message to Amazon and they'll take care of it. There are four types of feedbacks, or four things to look for in feedback that would deem it inappropriate, would violate Amazon's terms and conditions for feedback. So here's number one. If the feedback includes profanity, Amazon will remove it. Directly from Amazon's site, that means the feedback includes words commonly understood to be obscene and profane. Now, I've never had anybody swear at me in my feedback, thankfully, but if they did, I'd know that Amazon would remove it. Number two, your feedback includes private information. So, quote, the feedback includes seller-specific, personally identifiable information, including email addresses, full names, or telephone numbers. So if in the feedback the customer puts information, your personal information down in any way, then Amazon will remove that feedback. Number three, feedback is a product review. Now the quote is, the entire feedback comment is a product review. So instead of saying, because you're not the author of these books, you're not the one that wrote these books, and you might not even really endorse any of the information in them. You're ultimately a retailer or a distributor of products. And so if your customer's qualm is with the material in the book, then that's not your fault. So if the feedback is like this one quoted down here, this is also from Amazon, the Acme Super Widget lacks the sharpness and speed of the Acme Ultra widget. So it has nothing to do with you as a seller. It has nothing to do with you as a distributor, but it has everything to do with Acme's products. That's not your problem. Amazon will gladly slash through and remove those reviews. So they'll take care of that. And finally, if the feedback is regarding the fulfillment of an item. Now, this is an item that's been FBA'd. Now, if you're doing the fulfillment yourself, if you're merchant fulfilling your books, and you mess up and you don't get that package to the customer when you promised to get it to them, then that's legitimate negative feedback, and you probably deserve that. But sometimes maybe you don't deserve that. Maybe you put it in the mail and it just doesn't get there in a timeline that the customer was expecting it. Maybe their expectations were unrealistic. That's legitimate negative feedback for you. But if you, like us, do FBA, then the entire feedback comment is regarding the fulfillment or customer service for an order fulfilled by Amazon, then they'll remove that. And so the other part is customer service, because not only does Amazon handle the fulfillment, shipping it off to the customer, they also handle returns, they also handle customer service. And so if any of the feedback is regarding like the people at the call center, like seller support or buyer support that they talk to, then Amazon will take care of that negative feedback as well. Now, if it doesn't meet any of that criteria, if the negative feedback that you got doesn't fall into any four of those categories, then this is what I'd propose you do. Make things right, and then some. So go above and beyond. Here's what I do. The first thing I do is I apologize for the error. I take ownership. Even if I'm not sure if I made a problem or not, I want to fix the situation, and I want to really apologize for my involvement in it. I assume that the customer is right. I offer a full refund. I let them keep the book, and I'll share with you the template that I use here in a minute. And then I kindly ask them to remove negative feedback. So here's my template. It works, I think, 95% or more of the time. There's only been a few times where it hasn't worked, But this is what I say. I say, dear Mr. and Mrs. Blank, I apologize for the condition of the book that you received from us. We are always working very hard to ensure the items that we list are accurately represented online. This was definitely an oversight on our part. I've gone ahead and I've issued you a full refund for your purchase. Please keep the book. We won't want you to be inconvenienced any further. If you are satisfied with this resolution, would you please remove your negative feedback from our account? Negative customer experiences have a very real impact on our business. As a small, family-owned and operated online company, we strive to offer the Amazon marketplace the integrity and the honesty it deserves. Thank you for your patience and understanding. Click on this link to access completed feedback. So that's the template we use, and we'll put the customer's name in there. Sometimes if I want to be personal and I want them to not feel like it's a form letter, I'll go in and I'll mention the book specifically. But this typically works because it is above and beyond. What Amazon says is, yeah, you can return the book, but you got to print out the shipping label. You got to put your book in a box. You got to put the shipping label on it. You got to drop it off at UPS. There's lots of steps that need to be taken to get get that refund. And if it's a $10, $11, $12 book, which is like the average book that we sell, the customer's going to be like, you know what, forget it. I'm not going to do that. And they'll just let the negative feedback sit there and they'll get on with their lives. But if you say, no, you keep the book and I'm giving you a refund, now that's really over the top. And people usually respond to that type of customer service. Now, if you want to find the link, I couldn't fit the link in here, but if you want to find the link, just go yourself. Go into your orders as if you were a buyer. And then there's a link that goes to feedback, and just copy and paste that link, and you can put that in your email, and that'll bring people directly to their own order feedback page. Now, there may be some instances where they still won't budge, and I just would recommend that you move on with your life. It's not worth it. And you're selling books, and you're going to be moving a lot of books, and you're going to be getting a lot of positive feedback. Occasionally, you're going to get some negative people that they're just not worth your time. So I would say go through those steps: apologize, over-deliver, refund. Solicit, ask them to remove the negative feedback. You can ask them once or twice maybe, and then just move on with your life. Focus on buying books that have good resale value. Focus on over-delivering to your future customers, and it'll all work itself out in the end.